the channel, and this is truly an unprecedented event when we have a Primarch and a Primarch-like action figure released back to each other. Truly, we are eating good these days, and I hope that we will continue to feast on the oncoming days. So in this review of Constantin Valdor, we are going to be concluding the initial releases of the Legio Custodes Horus Heresy line. I want to pause and thank you, members of the chapter, always for tuning into this action figure review video. And for you new members, the Emperor wills for you to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of these in-depth Warhammer 40k as well as Horus Heresy action figure reviews. And finally, we will draw some conclusions on this action figure, whether it is worth your hard-earned dollars or not, and also to see if we finish out the Legio Custodes line with a whimper or a resolute hell yeah. I just wanted to take this time to shout out JoyToy for sponsoring this video. They have excellent free shipping to all over the world, as well as for us United States residents. We are very concerned about the tariffs that are going on, and they also promise no tariffs on their products as well. So click in the link in the description below if you are interested in purchasing Valdor, Warhammer 40k, or any other Horus Heresy action figure. And before you check out, do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And I've taken enough of your time, so let's dive into the review. My initial thoughts on this action figure is as follows. The first thing that grabbed my attention is the massive drip that Valdor is rocking. You have this monstrous beast head, purity seal ribbons, and eagles that draw your attention away from one glaring thing about the armor. That glaring thing is the problem with gold, in that while the gold is quite resplendent, without some added condiments to boost the flavor. By condiments, I mean adding deep shading and silver highlights to make the armor really pop out of its plates. Aside from that, Valdor still looks like an imposing figure with a good amount of heft to him when you pick him up. But now, let's get into the specifics. Starting off, this blazing sun crown is truly an awesome decoration to behold, with its massive flame rays that are emanating from the top. The texture of the eagle feathers that surround the head is quite pronounced as well. However, I'm a bit dissatisfied with the look of Valdor's face. I say that because his face is as smooth as a baby's bottom, in that it has no great detail or shading, which is a vast departure from the promo pictures that were released. When we are looking at the promo pictures of its face, you can see some significant scarring as well as shading on the face. I suppose that this face would have been fine if we were not shown something that was better looking. I would say, however, the eyes have been screened on quite nicely with the lens flare that you see throughout the bare-headed Horus Heresy line that bring a bit of life to this action figure. I really like how the two decorations on the pauldrons look vastly different from each other, with this left one sporting a highly detailed beast head with some highlights on the fur, as well as some nice taper of color on the horns. On the opposite pauldron, you find a rather large heraldic shield that has this god being's name on it, but the star of the show, in my opinion, is this black eagle with its wings that are splayed out. I do appreciate the level of detail on the feathers, as you can see each sculpt, but the best part is the gray highlighting that allows you to differentiate each feather. Then beneath all those fancy decorations, you can see the base golden armor with some choice vine patterning. The forearms themselves have a nicely textured leather glove. Now let's focus in on the Corinthian warplate, specifically in the chest area. I do appreciate the giant eagle that protrudes out from the center of the armor, and there are a ton of Custodes-like decorations, such as these lightning bolts, as well as vine-like designs that surround the eagle. While this area does look fantastic, as the Broken Record has said before, it would look even better with shading as well as highlights. This gigantic beast paw steals the show for me because of all the delicious textures that can be found on the fur. Just like the horns of the beast head, the claws also have this nice color gradient. The waist area is as insanely decorated as the rest of the action figure. I feel like I'm being overwhelmed by the buffet of different flavors, which is not a bad thing. I am not sure what the backstory of this buckle is, but I think that this angelic figure is quite flavorful looking, with this white banner that really jumps out against the golden sea. Next, we have the scabbard for the Misericord that is functional in that you can sheathe the blade inside, although it is a slightly tight fit. The red tabard, despite it being behind a bunch of decorations, I think it really jumps out in front due to the vibrant color. Aside from that, there are some massive side armor plates that sport some Baroque eagle head and wing designs. With regard to how these items attach to the waist, I'm not really a fan of this plastic attachment because I feel as if they may rip off easily. I really like the decorations that attach to the body via ball and socket joint because they are easy to reattach. Moving on to the legs, I think they are the weakest part of this action figure. The reason why I say that is because they look like gold nuggets that are stacked on top of each other. I commented on Alfarius's as well as Russ's armor that the reason why I like their armor so much is because of the terracing on it, as well as the different color bands that break up the look of the armor. In contrast, Valdor's warplate sadly does not have any of that flavor. However, this area is not completely devoid of any taste because Valdor has a rather delicious looking lion's head, as well as an oddly chaosish screaming head on the left knee. Hidden behind the cape area is what I believe to be the power plant of the warplate. Aside from that, I don't think there's really much to talk about. However, what I believe that grabs most people's interest is this gigantic red cape that covers most of Valdor's back. Again, the shading in the recesses of the fabric is impeccable, and you can just taste the depth of flavor with your eyes. This is even more apparent when you take in the front side of the cape. The look of the cape also conveys a sense of motion, and then finally, no one can miss the massive double Aquila icon at the bottom of this cape. With regard to how the cape is secured on the figure, I have some misgivings. While I do like how the cape is secured by these loops on the pauldrons, these two thin attachments make me a little bit nervous due to how flimsy they are, which may lead to some tearing issues if you're rough with the figure, or if you rotate the arms around too much, which I'll get to in a little bit. I am not exactly sure as to why this is called an Apollonian spear, because it almost looks like a halberd with this gigantic blade at the head of it. However, I like how the blade is a delicious looking gunmetal color that progresses onto a lighter silver towards the blade edge. The placement of these blue power bands to be rather odd in that they are perpendicular with the blade rather than parallel. This then gives the blade a little bit of a weird blue stripe patterning rather than convey an electric glow at the blade edge. There is some nice punctuation with some black areas that represent the handles. Just like Alfarius's pale spear, this looks a little bit flat and semi-lifeless, if that's even a term to describe an inanimate object. Now, this hypervelocity bolter, just like the warplate, is a solid gold color, but at least there is some depth that is conveyed through the faintest of shading in the vine-like designs. Finally, you can remove this area up top to reveal a very small magazine. The Misericord is a rather simple but elegant looking dagger with a monochrome silver blade, and then some nice golden textured eagle heads that represent the hilt area. Now, I am not exactly sure what this baton type thing is. The only thing that comes to mind is probably Valdor's Are Shrike. Please let me know in the comment section if that's correct or this is something else. You can fit the baton around Valdor's forearms using these rope elements. Then this gunmetal section can be gripped by Valdor's hands as shown. Let's talk about the movement of this action figure. For the most part, there are no issues with movement at all. The head, arms, the legs, the knees, and ankles either turn or pivot quite nicely. Even the chest to torso and then torso to waist area allow Valdor to spin 360 with no issue, as demonstrated right here. No issue whatsoever. Now remember, I was talking about how the cape attaches the pauldrons via these two strips of plastic. This is where the problem lies, because you cannot rotate the shoulder joint 360 degrees, because I think if you do, you are going to rip these two pieces of plastic. You can see the stretching that is occurring right now when I lift Valdor's arm up. So this is the only issue with Valdor's movement. First of all, I would like to say, hell yeah, we have finished the Legio Custodes line strong. I would have to say JoyToy still continues to knock it out of the ballpark with the quality of these Primarchs as well as Primarch-like beings, but that doesn't mean that Valdor doesn't come with his inherent little flaws. To summarize some of the weak points on this action figure, 1, the face could use some improvement in terms of definition. I just wish that the face looked as prominent as it does on the promo pictures, and as I have said before, the gold on the armor desperately needs some added definition and oomph to make it pop. However, I feel that the strengths significantly outweigh the weaknesses on this action figure. I feel like the beast head, the black winged eagle, as well as all the other accessories, is unparalleled. For these reasons, I would say that this figure is a must-buy for Custodes fans, as well as some Space Marine action figure enjoyers. Please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below, and let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the points that I have made. And once again, thank you so much for your engagement as well as your comments, likes, and subscribes. It is very much appreciated. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.